Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. Now then, today's video is going to be an unboxing and review of this. It's the Spec'ed RC by God only knows. And that's the sort of point of this video is really, I've bought a completely unbranded RC off eBay. Now, outwardly, this resembles an XLF X03 and there are clues on the box to suggest that the contents might be that, but they're not. Now these normally retail about 120 quid. So, long story short, on eBay a few weeks ago, there was this style of truck and the platform was absolutely awash in the RC sales bit with this kind of truck. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try one. It looks like an XLF X03. They normally retail for about 120 quid. I think it was 47 quid. I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't expecting it the same. You know, if something's too good to be true, it generally is. But I was just intrigued as to what would turn up. Now, the box actually shows an XLF X03. That is an XLF X03. Retail, like I say, about 120 quid. And if we have a look on the rest of the packaging, I mean, I got quite excited when it turned up because, I mean, that is the chassis of an XLF, and you've got all these metal bits and pieces which would normally be associated with that more pricey brand. And if we can go right the way around the box, I mean, there's no manufacturer's name on this at all. It's completely Johnny No Name job. I mean, normally they're here in the where all the warning stickers are, but there's nothing at all. I can't find anything anyway. But there's I think that's the X04, and it's even got X03 on the box, but it's not ticked at all, which was the first indication as to something that might be up. Now I have actually got a confession, because normally on the channel I will leave the box sealed and film the unboxing on camera, but I was that intrigued as to try and find out who made this or what it was. I have actually opened the box and had a rifle through the instructions, but they shone no light on it whatsoever. Anyway, there are some very strange quirks within this box, but we'll get to that now. Let's unbox it and see what we get for our Johnny No Named 47 quid 1/10 scale RC. Anyway, here you go. Like I say, it's nothing like that on the box at all. Possibly fast forward this bit. So we've got our instructions and parts, bits and pieces. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And this is the first strange thing. This comes with 2 sets of tyres. Now, I've never had an RC that comes with 2 sets of tyres, but it actually comes with 2 completely different sizes of tyres in the box. Now this is the actual RC itself, and I'll just dig the transmitter out. There's the transmitter. It takes 3 AA batteries, which you have to supply yourself. But there's the tyres. We've got 2 completely different size sets of tyres, which I just find very odd. Now, it was at this point my hopes were properly dashed when I actually lifted the lid, because the chassis and the running gear look absolutely nothing like the side of the box. So I was scratching my head really. I wonder, well, if it's not an XLF, what the hell is it? So I did some trawling around the internet, and I think it's actually a Feiyue FY10 race, which if you go on Banggood, they normally retail for about 85 quid. Like I say, it's got some strange quirks and features. I mean, it does come with a rear wing. There's some tools and a wheel wrench there. And strangely enough, the battery cover came separate in the bag with the instructions. Now, like I say, I have gone through these instructions and it's the same on the box. I cannot find a manufacturer's name anywhere printed or listed in any of the literature that's in the instructions or on the box. So I'm completely in the dark about who's manufactured this, but interesting nonetheless. So I'll tell you what we'll do before we take it out for a bash is we'll do a bit of a teardown on it, see what's involved. Now the box actually says 1/10 scale, and it's actually sold on the listing as 1/10, but the instructions say 1/12. Now I wonder if that's why we've got 2 sets of tyres, because these larger tyres bump it up to the 1/10th scale, if you like, and these are 1/12th. Because if you go on Banggood and have a look at the Feiyue listing, that's listed as 1/12th, and this, I'm absolutely 100% positive this is the same chassis. So anyway, let's take some of these covers off, etc, etc, and see what we get. Now that the wheels are off, we can have a quick look at the suspension and the steering. One clue to its possible XLF heritage are these metal steering hubs here, which you get on the X03, etc. Now normally the drive shafts and the cups on the diffs would all be metal on the XLF, but on this one they're all plastic, and I think it's the same affair on the Feiyue, which I think this is based on. But you've also got like the rest of it's plastic, but you've also got a metal steering linkage inside, strangely enough, instead of plastic. But the rears, everything's plastic basically, although the drive shafts, etc, are quite chunky affairs, I must admit. Let's just have I think the battery lives in a little compartment on the top. So, oh yes, so there you go. So we just get like a little, what is it, 1500 milliamp hour? Yeah, it says 2200, but that's nowhere on God's green earth that's 2200 milliamp hour. More like 12 or 1500 to be fair. It's got a Dean's connector on it as well, so you could probably fit a little lipo in there if you so desired. We've got an on-off switch here on like a weird rocker switch. I don't know what these must be for lights or something. These two little ports there, and the whole chassis is encased in this sort of foam bathtub, really. It's very strange. So it says on the box amphibious driving. So I wonder if this is some sort of flotation system for it, but I wouldn't like to try it out. Let's get these plastic covers off and see what's underneath, and I might actually take one of these shock absorbers off, because I think you can unscrew the top, so we might be able to convert them to oil. So let's do that. Now it's going to be very difficult to do the whole video without having a name to refer to this thing as, so I think what we're going to do, we're going to pinch one off the shell. I think we're going to call it the Reckless, because that's precisely how I've been with my money. So one of the first nice surprises about this thing is the fact that we might actually be able to convert these shock absorbers to be oil filled, because in the cap we have a little damper, and normally there will be two seals in there, but there's like a little plastic bush, if you like, so we might actually be able to put some seals in there and convert these to be oil filled. Okay, that's the central cover removed. So what have we got inside? Well, we've got our ESC and receiver unit there, and to be fair, it does look as though it's waterproof. It's actually been filled with some sort of silicon looking medium, and it's in a little plastic box with a silicon gasket between the two halves, so it could actually be waterproof. I daren't chuck it in the river or anything like that, test it though. We've got a 5-wire servo. The servo doesn't look particularly waterproof. Disappointingly, for the size of the truck, we've got a 390 motor, but it has got a nice heatsink on it, to be fair. What I might do, I mean, this central drive shaft, that looks all metal, but it mates to plastic cups either end, it looks like. But what I might do is take the motor out and see what sort of gears, and possibly might remove a diff as well, see what's inside. Initially I was a little bit excited because I thought we'd got a full metal transmission, but now I've taken the rest of the covers off. These gears here are plastic. The end of the drive shaft, however, is metal, and everything's ball raced, by the way, so that's always good. The diffs, however, are all metal, and they've got all metal gears inside, so, and they've actually got some grease in them. So that's a good thing that we've got all metal diffs. They're not very big, however, so I'm wondering if this is actually sort of a 1/12th scale, or should be a 1/12th scale buggy, and they've put the larger wheels on to sort of bump it up, because they don't look very big to be on a 1/10th scale basher. We've also got some metal bracketry and metal wheel hexes as well. So they have actually, although they've skimped on some things, in other areas it's quite well equipped. So what I'll do is I'll attempt to put this back together, and then we'll probably take it out for a bit of a bash and a run. What I might do is put the small wheels back on it, just in case the larger wheels put a bit too much stress on the transmission. So I think it's probably meant to run with the smaller wheels, so that's what we're going to run it with. One other area of note, I think, is although the drive shafts are plastic, they do seem quite well made. We've got a metal drive end, if you like, that's been bonded into the shaft. It's all one piece, and the actual universal joint portion inside is metal. So, like I say, although they're plastic, they're quite chunky, and they do seem to be quite well made. So that's our little Reckless back together. I have put the rear wing on, and as every boy racer will know, you've got to have that downforce, especially in McDonald's car park. So what we'll do is we're going to check the transmitter functions, make sure everything is working. So we turn him on, I think, via this rocker switch here. This is a very strange arrangement. If I can, yeah. There you go. It's blinking at me. So if we get the transmitter, turn him on, light goes solid. Oh, that's it, everything's bound. Everything's fully proportional, obviously. I will say this initially, this transmitter feels horrible, but it seems to work okay. So I'll get the little wheels back on. I'll wait till the original battery is finished charging up, bang the bodywork on, and we'll take it out for a bash, see what it's like. Right then, we're about to test the manual's claim, amphibian driving, underwater travel. I'm about to submerge this thing in the bath. This feels wrong on every single level, I'm not going to lie. Hopefully I won't knock the camera over, otherwise it will be a very short video. Here goes. Oh god. Well, it's still working. It's completely submerged. The ESC, the motor. Oh my god. I've never been so nervous in my life. Well, it appears to work completely fine underwater. So it must be correct. Oh, bugger me. So I've basically left it in here for about 5 minutes completely submerged. Only really the top of this cover is poking out. Everything else, the motor, the battery, the ESC, the servo, everything else is underwater. It's still switched on there, as you can tell, and it's still working. So it must be completely waterproof. Okay, back inside now. What did we think of the Reckless here? Well, let's start with the traditional good and bad points, shall we? Good points. It seems fairly robust. We bashed it, we thrashed it through some woods, we thrashed it through God knows how many puddles, we took it out in the wet, it went down some steps. We really did put this thing through the mill, and nothing broke, nothing fell off, and it survived. It was piloted by a few novices on the odd occasion, and they ran into God knows how many things, and it's still here, it's still in one piece. So from a quality standpoint, from a robustness point of view, if you like, I don't think there's much wrong with it. The battery life turned out in the end to be pretty good. I think it might actually be over 2,000 milliamp hours, that little battery, because it lasted about half an hour. I'm sure it did. Lasted about 30 minutes, so battery life is pretty good. It's 100% waterproof, and obviously you've seen the footage where I dunked it in the bath. We took this thing out in the wet, it's got submerged several times. Again, nothing's gone wrong. It's 100% waterproof. So it's very novice friendly, this thing, and I'm sure if you stuck a propeller on the back of it you could use it as a boat. It's that good. Another good point was it comes with 2 sets of tyres, obviously different diameter, so the larger ones will give it a bit more top end, but you'll lose a bit of acceleration. To be honest, it's one thing this thing probably couldn't do with losing. But yeah, two sets of tyres. I've never had an RC with 2 sets of tyres, so it can't be bad. Okay, bad points. Now, it's unbranded, so our spare is going to be an issue. Now, I'm pretty sure it's very similar to the Feiyue FY10 and the XLF X03, but there's no guarantees. Like I say, I'm fairly certain it is, but there's no guarantees. So spares with an unbranded RC might be an issue later on down the road. This thing is very slow. Even by my standards, this is slow. I mean, it's not going to be anything other because it's basically got the same motor as something like the Motivator here, which is 1/3 of the size and 1/3 of the weight. So yeah, this thing is very, very slow. So it's probably a good thing if it's for a novice, because they probably couldn't go fast enough with it to do any damage. But like I say, even by my standards, this is slow. But you could upgrade this quite easily to brushless later on. So might be something to think about. Suspension is very bouncy, very, very bouncy. But to be honest, all sort of 1/12, 1/10 scale trucks in this sort of price bracket none of them use oil shocks. This is nothing different. It bounces around all over the shop. Like I say, I think there's some diaphragms in the top, so you could actually fairly easily, I would imagine, convert them to oil shocks. So that could be something that could be easily overcome. The steering is very weird. You feel as though you constantly have to trim it up, but it's got quite a lot of toe out. And it just seems to go in any direction it wishes. Like I say, you constantly seem as though you're trying to trim it, but it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Best thing to do is just go for it and hope for the best. Okay, then conclusion time. Would I recommend the Reckless here? I'm going to say yes, with a proviso. If you've been used to other 1/10, 1/12 scale bashers, you would probably find this a little bit underwhelming, a little bit disappointing, I think, because of the speed more than anything else. Even, like I say, even by my standards, it's not very quick, and that does take a little bit of the enjoyment out of it. I never thought I'd hear myself say that, but it does take a little bit of the enjoyment out of it. It could do with being a bit quicker. If, however, you went out and bought this and this was your first RC, I think you'd thoroughly enjoy it. I really do. It's not a lot of money. I think it's 47 quid. Like I say, it isn't a lot of money. It does everything it says on the box. It is fairly entertaining. It is very novice friendly. I mean, I'm not being funny. I haven't come across many RCs that are completely 100% waterproof at that price point. And literally, you can submerge this thing and nothing will happen. So yes, I would recommend this if you are new to the hobby, and especially because at some point when you get used to the speed, you can probably upgrade this to brushless. If you already have a few of these type of RCs, I think it would be a bit of a letdown for you. I think the speed will definitely become an issue for you. Now, normally I would leave a link in the description to where I purchased this from, but unfortunately they seem to have disappeared off the face of the earth. I've had a trawl through eBay on several occasions, see if I can see them reappearing, but no one seems to be selling them anymore. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that if they have all gone and they've sold them all, they will get another batch and they will start to be sold on eBay again. So if you keep your eyes peeled, you'll probably see them listed again. Anyway, if you found the video of some use and of interest, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar future content. As ever, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you again soon.